You just make me wanna cry. Whoa, whoa, stop, stop. You just make me wanna cry. Whoa, whoa, stop, stop. You just make me wanna cry. Whoa, whoa, stop, stop. You just make me wanna cry. Whoa, whoa, stop, stop. You just make me wanna cry. Whoa, whoa, stop, stop.
Hello guys, how's it going? Can everybody hear me? Hello. Hopefully everybody can hear me, and if you can, do type it in the chat. Good morning everybody. Hopefully everybody's doing great. And this stream right here is gonna be a very short stream, but we are gonna cover what sort of setups that we have for the next week and how we're gonna able to mark some levels for the upcoming week. And before we do that, can everybody that's in the stream, can you guys tell me what sort of positions you are in, like maybe long or short at the moment, and then I will discuss further about everybody's position. Maybe type in your entries as well, so that'll be very cool. So for now, looking at the charts real quick, this is the situation that we have, and this is the marking that I have already done at the moment. And honestly, taking a look at this does not look bad at all. Let's just go to the higher time frame real quick and talk about what's going on here real quick. And this right here, let's just start from the basics. We have a volume profile, we have a range that had been right there for almost like 3.5 months. And we still have value that is just sitting around that range and could act as a pivotal level for rotation. So if price does come back into this value area high, we are likely going to rotate all the way back to below around this POC or the value area low. So that's the sort of rotation that is likely going to happen if price breaks down this current level right here. And as for the, let me delete some of this. And as for the current market prices, we are not doing that bad. We are doing pretty well. We are in a higher time frame FVG. This is supposedly like a 4-hour or a daily FVG right around here. And we are doing pretty well holding structure into it. And then we have formed this sort of like 3-drive low pattern, and we have formed a break structure after that. So that is the sort of structure that we have going for us at the moment. And looking at the way price is developing at the moment, this is usual weekend PA, guys. This is something that happens. So whenever like Saturday open happens, if we do not move like very aggressively by the first 6 hours, that is like the Asia session. So if we do not like move very aggressively for the first 6 hours in the Asia session, we are likely going to continue chopping till not just by the end of the day, till the next day, and till the next day and New York session. So that is where and when you are able to see any sort of move actually happen in the market. So that's like usual weekend shenanigans that happens for what, like almost 30 hours. 30 hours, 30 to like 36 hours. And by the time you're around Sunday New York session is when we like actually get a volatile move. So that is what I'm actually waiting for. That is supposed to be my news trigger. And if you don't really get any sort of like reaction into New York session at the moment, it's likely that we get a pretty nice move into Monday. And tomorrow is Monday, and Monday we could get a pretty decent reaction in the Asia session. So the first 6 hours, that's something that I am actually observing, and I'm pretty observant about, and I'll be looking for that. And taking a look at the hard time frame again, we have been continuously just breaking structure again and again, and then we have just been forming a lot of like potential highs that has just carried on this bearish momentum lower and lower. And even right now, we are not really breaking highs. If you take a look at the 15-minute highs that we haven't really broken them at all at the moment as well. And what we really need from this structure right here is we need some sort of strength that really defies the current downtrend that we have. And the way we actually would be able to see that would be, if I go to the lower time frame real quick, would be a structure that looks somewhat like this. So we have rejected this like internal high as of now. We haven't really broken higher than this. I would like to see price come a little further below here and probably form a new higher low. And the way we are going to form a higher low is by usual weekend chopping and rotations, and those rotations are within like a significant low or a significant high. So that's likely what's gonna happen, and then we're gonna form a higher low, and then from the higher low, if we do get like momentum and we have like some sort of chase in bids, what's gonna happen is I'm most likely going to like look for longs from there, and the first target would most likely be around this NPOC. And the way that trade would actually develop would look something like this as well. And honestly, this NPOC is in confluence with this structure right here. So we have some liquidity sitting around these highs as well. And there's some highs that are sitting right around here. And then there is a decent short PI that is around here. So the NPOC just adds onto it. So this is likely the level that we are going to get any sort of rejections from. And about this, we also have like an internal FEG that is sitting right around this level, and we could get some sort of like rejection from here. That is exactly why a better entry trigger would be if we sort of end up holding this low, and we do get that same momentum that we were looking for a little higher. We get that around this low hold entry, and that would be a trade all the way up to like NPOC, unless and until we don't reject from this FEG, of course, right here, because we also have a POC that is sitting right at 75k, which is something that I can like just show you guys. As you can see that there's a POC that is sitting just at like 75k level, so we could reject from this level most likely. So yeah. I have a question in the chat. Why you don't market the NPOC at 75k? Market long or market short? Not sure what you mean by that. And Denowski said short. In my opinion, targeting 72.72k. 72k. If you want to target 72k, if you're like actually short here, that is not really a bad trade. If you have managed to take an short that is just around this high, and your stop loss are here, and then you were aiming for this lower high, oh sorry, a higher low, or you're aiming for these lows, it's not really a bad trade. But hard time frame wise, we are in a overall uptrend, but the momentum that is currently forming, that is pretty bearish. So it's likely that we do develop some sort of a lower high around this structure right here, and then we could continue that much lower. But honestly, 72k is not the level where we'll probably stop. We could most likely get a like SFE around this level, and the way that could develop. Let me just delete a lot of this right here and then show you real quick what I mean by that. So the trade my guy Endowski has taken here is similarly to what we have been doing for some time now, and we've been doing it since like 12th of May, and it's now almost the end of the month. We have just been forming sequential highs, and we have not really been breaking them. And if we do continue that by breaking further structure that is supposed to hold the bullish structure, we could most likely get like a rundown for its money. And the way we would get a rundown would be something that would probably like SFP here, around 72k. There might be a level on TPO that I'll check in a minute. And from there, if we do not get like any sort of break structure or any sort of bullish momentum from there, honestly, that could be a pretty decent short all the way down to like 66 to like 67k. And that's not the trade that I'm looking for at the moment. I still have some bias and hope for like an upcoming trend all the way up to like NPOC. But if you do really want to get into shorts, the only way you can get into shorts is you wait for the breakdown around this low, and then you let it develop for an SFE around here. That could be a 1 or 2 hour trade for you. And the other trade is if we just like exit back into this value area high, we're likely going to rotate all the way down to this value area low. So that could be a short setup all the way from this value area high all the way down to this like value area low. And that's something that could most likely develop very easily and very cool. What are the positions that like some of you guys are in for the people that have just joined? If you are in any sort of positions, just type your entry and the pair you're trading in the chat and what sort of position you have, and I'll review it real quick. Yeah, but that's the lower time frame outlook that I have. Honestly, I would like for prices to like pump from here, put in a higher low, and then just ramp it all the way up. And in case of for invalidation of any sort, it's likely that I'll be looking for these to trigger for shorts. So if I'm to like mark them out, these are like some triggers that I'll be taking for shorts. And if I'm to like mark out the longs, let me like put them in green. These are some triggers that I would be looking to like take for longs. Yep. That's the lower time frame structure that we have for now. And going back to the hard time frame real quick and explaining what really is going on right here. This is something that we will revisit like in a day or a week as well. This session will be recorded, and I will be posting details and further updates about the session later on. And taking a look at the hard time frame right here again, this was a pretty nice uptrend that we talked about like multiple times. If you had joined my Discord, I had been doing like a free session for everybody every Monday around New York session, and we had been talking about this like long setup from this level all the way up to like this level until we recognized some weakness, and we were like, okay, the trend that we were looking for that was bullish is not really there anymore, and it just seems to be just bleeding down and bleeding down. And now that we have a pretty decent hard time frame pivot to like reverse it from, the usual reversion will look like if you hold these lows or if you like SFP these lows, it's likely there's going to be a momentum gain from that. And the momentum gain is what we were looking to execute in terms of longs. And that's going to cause a rotation all the way back to this FVG pivot that we have on the other extreme. So that's going to be a pretty decent trade. And that is exactly what we are looking for at the moment. In terms of like invalidations for that, and right here we observe that, okay, price is like starting to like, what price is doing is like starting to like run down like crazy, and then there's barely any sort of signs of bidding in price. Then we are likely going to just short right around this low or the value area high, and that's going to be the rotation for the entire move, and that's literally gonna send prices back to like 66k. So that's not really healthy. That's not really cool. So what's gonna happen is we are hopefully most likely to see some sort of retracement all the way back up to like around these highs. There are some questions in the chat. How do you manage a front run trade? If price front runs your entry, how do you know whether it will pump hard or revisit and reject the same POI? Sometimes front run. Okay, let's just say your entry is front run. So we do have an entry. Let's say I had an entry somewhere here for a long entry, and my entry was supposed to be, let's just say, this circle right here, pretty much the extreme. But what happens is let's just say it just taps the FVG and then it just like starts running up. What you gotta do is like you gotta just know that whatever level that you had has been filled up, and there's momentum, there's willing buyers above those levels. So the buyers that are sitting below those levels are most likely front run, and the way those front run buyers actually execute the order later on is by really just FOMOing into the trade, by market ordering into the trade, into the market. And what that does is any sort of liquidations that people have on shorts, it just like sort of ends up liquidating everybody, and then it goes boom. So that's how you sometimes you like have to really get into trade. So so if your initial entry is lost, you gotta always look for momentum, and you always gotta look for continuation. So that's what you have to really essentially look for. MK said, why don't you mark out the NPC at 75k? I just forgot to mark out the NPC at 75k. That is why. Let's just like put one right around here. We do have one NPC around the 75k mark, right around this level. Somebody said long from CMP, the current market price. That's also good. This is still the 30 minutes and the higher time frame. Let's just go to the lower time frame real quick and then see if there is any sort of trade that I could take at the moment. This session, the like cause of this session is to just explain how and what sort of setups we could take moving on into the week, and what sort of bias that we could have moving further on. Not sure why the chart is not loading. But it will load in a second. There's some other coins that I'm also looking for. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. Oh, if you can just type it in the chat real quick. Can you guys still hear me? Hello? If you guys can just text it in the chat real quick. Taking a look at the higher time frame again. Honestly, if we are to like zoom out of this structure, this was like pretty obvious. This is something that I talked about some sessions ago. That was like, if you're talking about like BTC and the sort of structure we usually trade on BTC, what really happens is that there is usually some sort of incline after some sort of bidding and continuation, and then that leads to a pretty nice ramp up in structure, and that leads to another continuation further higher. But that's not the sort of structure that we had on this higher time frame right here. And the sort of structure that we had on this higher time frame would look something like this, which was pretty slow for BTC, especially knowing there's a lot of liquidations that usually get built up around the lows. And the way we were developing that, and the way price was slowly like turning into sort of a curvature that looked like distribution, it was most likely that we were gonna end up like rotating all the way down to the other sort of extreme, which is the only two scenarios that usually happens when you're trading like a slow grind. Slow grind that leads to a impulsive move afterwards, and then from there there's usually a continuation, or what you have is like a very slow momentum move that usually ends up getting retraced. Taking a look at this right here, we are currently like going back to this FEG, and knowing that it's like Sunday, and we are also around the New York session, so it's likely this is the New York shenanigans that we have usually on Sunday. So if you do end up like holding this low right here, and even if you do end up to this NPC right around here, so that could be a trade that I am actually looking for. But if you're in shorts from here, let's say you're in shorts from around here, that is a pretty decent trade. I would not recommend closing it just now, but I do recommend flipping on that trade whenever you see any sort of signs of reversal, and then definitely just go for the trade that we were looking for. Could be like around here, could end up forming low around here. and then end up forming a low around here, and then we could do a rotation all the way up to the NPOC. Yeah, I'm not sure why Twitch is like tweaking out right now. The streams I do on Discord are completely fine. Probably do it on Discord next time, because we have been doing a stream actively on Discord for about a month or more, and we're most likely going to continue that every single week. If it's still laggy, let me know. I'm almost done with the stream. I will continue the rest of my streams on Discord. And yeah, for the moment, this is the sort of setups that I have been looking for, and that's the higher time frame structure that I've been looking for. The stream is, by the way, recorded, so any sort of lag or any sort of irregularity that you have had, um, any sort of irregularity that we had on the stream, I'll upload the recording on my Twitter in a few minutes, and that would be very cool. I'm pretty sure everybody would like be able to see. Yeah, I'm not sure why Twitch is still lagging, guys. I am very sorry for that. Yeah, but I guess that's the higher time frame and lower time frame update. I'll keep you guys updated on the recording, and I really appreciate everybody for joining, and I will see you guys later. Thank you guys for joining. I love you all. Take care and goodbye.